Raider Nation, listen up. There are 5 things that the Raiders need to do in order to pull out a victory against the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. Let's start out with Captain Obvious. We need to shut down Lamar Jackson. He is a true dual threat quarterback. He was the MVP of the league last year for a reason. The guy is phenomenal. He is the reason why Baltimore wins or loses. If he plays good, they win. If he plays bad, they lose. He is the star of that team. So we need to contain him. We need to keep him from running to the outside, get pressure up the middle, fill those gaps, and make sure that he cannot slip out of a sack, which he is known to do. Remember the last time that we played the Baltimore Ravens, we beat them. Of course, we did have a different quarterback at the time and a better offensive line, arguably, than we have now. That being said, if Christian Wilkins and Adam Butler can put the pressure up the middle while not giving up gap and running lanes, then we're going to end up pushing Lamar Jackson right into the hands of I was going to say Malcolm Kuntz, but unfortunately, no, Big Max Crosby. Malcolm Kuntz is most likely out for the season. That sucks. Now, let's move on to number 2. Isaiah Likele. He is a big-time tight end for the Baltimore Ravens. He is one of the favorite targets of Lamar Jackson, and we have to be able to shut him down. Now, in the past, the Raiders have struggled against some tight ends, particularly Travis Kelce, and so we have to make sure that Isaiah Likele has one of the worst games of the season against the Raiders this week. If so, that takes a big-time target away from Lamar Jackson, hopefully making him hold on to the ball longer and getting him into the hands of Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Adam Butler, John Jenkins, and so on. Number 3, we have to establish the run game. We have to get the run running. If we cannot establish a run game, we're going to become one-dimensional, and that is going to hurt the Raiders. Expect to see Alexander Mattison get more carries this week than he did last week. I think Zamir White may have questionably lost his starting job to Alexander Mattison. He showed out, and Zamir White struggled, especially with the fumble, a fumble that was recovered by the Chargers. So, key to victory here, we have to be able to establish the run game, and if we can do that, then the Raiders are going to be a lot better. That is going to depend a lot on the offensive line. If the offensive line can get their act together and actually do a good job at run blocking and opening up lanes, then Alexander Mattison and Zamir White are going to be much better this week, and the Raiders will have a chance to win this game with ball control and being able to pull up the linebackers and safeties so that we can do the next thing, which is throw the ball deep. If we're not going to throw the ball over 4 yards, which was what Gardner Minshew's average last year last game was 4.4 yards per pass. That was air, not the yards after catch by all of his receivers, who basically made him look like he did a really good job. But he had the second worst outing as far as yards per pass in the air in his entire career last week. The dinks and dunks, the 2-yard checkdowns are not going to beat this Baltimore Ravens defense. We got to chuck the ball down the field at least 4 or 5 times over 20 yards. Last week, only 2. That's not going to cut it, and so Gardner Minshew's going to have to let it rip. Listen, here's the thing. Gardner Minshew, if you throw 75% completion rating like you did last week and set a record and we lose, you're still going to lose your job. You got to let it air out. Let the ball fly. And if we lose, then, hey, you gave it your all. But the dink and dunks, not going to work. Now, finally, this is, again, Captain Obvious. Stop turning over the ball. The Raiders cannot lose in the turnover ratio on the road. It's hard enough to do that at home and still win, but when you're on the road, it makes it that much more difficult, and Baltimore is a difficult place to play to begin with. So we have to win the turnover battle. We need to get turnovers from Baltimore and not give the ball to them at all. Guys, if you love the Raiders and you love the Raider Nation, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and all of that. I'll see you guys this Sunday.